So, Mary, I just want to make sure that we've got everything here that I need to completely understand your situation, what's going on as far as your hip pain is concerned. So it is the left hip, and you're feeling it more kind of in the front, kind of like in that groin area a little bit is what it looks like. And it's been going on for about 6 months. If it's been it wasn't really anything that happened. It's just kind of come on gradually, and it's kind of gotten worse. And it's something that's new and hasn't gotten any better. It's affecting you going upstairs, running. You used to run a lot, is what it sounds like, and now that hip pain is there, you can no longer run. That makes it worse, as well as bending forward, kind of like at the waist. But you've been in a bar class, and that actually makes it better. So that's awesome. That's great. At least there's some type of relief that you're getting from this pain. But you said that you mentioned you went to your PCP, in which they stated that there could be some bone on bone, which is something that kind of didn't really sit well with you, because you weren't really sure what that meant, and that you knew that your father had a hip replacement whenever he was 62, and so that's kind of got you worried, which is completely understandable. I totally get that. It's something I feel like, even myself too, but I feel like everybody probably has that kind of fear whenever it comes to a type of surgery like that. So I totally get where you're coming from. But based off of what we found, though, as far as your exam findings, I don't think that hip replacement is something to worry about, because what I think is actually going on in your hip is what's called, what I think is called a greater trochanteric pain syndrome, or GTPS for short. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's something that's not uncommon. But if it's not diagnosed correctly, it can be mistaken for something else. So something like hip pathology, as far as like osteoarthritis, something kind of age related. But either way, but what I'm getting at is, if it's mistaken for something else, it can be misdiagnosed and mistreated, such as that unnecessary hip replacement, hip surgery. So I think what we've got going on here is that, and I think chiropractic care can definitely help you. So that's my first recommendation, is you're in the right place. I just want you to know that you're in the right place for your pain. I completely understand your nervousness about all that's been going on with your father. I know that you've been taking a lot of care of him. So I definitely think that chiropractic care, the chiropractic adjustment, can definitely help heal some of that pain that you've been feeling and going through, as well as being able to give back some of your freedom. That way, all the stress levels and things that you've probably been going through, since your father does have Alzheimer's, and like you've said that you've been going through, helping him a lot, and just kind of the unknown, whether to take those next steps, whether you need to seek help, which I think you might need to do, but that's totally your choice. But either way, and again, getting back some of that freedom, as well as you mentioned earlier you like to run, or used to like to run, and now that's kind of hindered that. And I think with chiropractic care, you can get back to running. So that's my first recommendation. Next recommendation would be some exercises. So exercises as well as a stretch protocol. These exercises, really what they're meant to do is to hold the adjustment longer, as well as strengthen some areas that could be weakened, or either way they could be contributing to your pain, your hip pain, as well as you mentioned earlier you had some low back pain as well, but that could also be a contributing factor as well into your hip pain. And so that's what these exercises are for. They're meant to help with the adjustment, and they're supposed to strengthen some deficiencies going on throughout your body. So first thing I actually have is a stretch, as I said, and this is a seated psoas stretch. So the psoas muscle is a deep muscle here in the core, and it actually connects to your low back. So a lot of hip problems, can actually stem from the psoas. Whenever there's a muscular imbalance, the psoas can actually be really tight and give us a lot of hip pain. So what I would like you to do for this one what I'll have you do is, I said it's a seated stretch. So what I'm going to have you do is sit either in a chair. You can do this at home. We could do this at the office. But either way, what you're going to do is you're going to sit up straight. You're going to take that left leg. You're going to cross it over your right leg. Sit up straight. Hold your ankle with your right hand. Push your knee with your left. And what we could do is you could do that. We can hold that stretch for a period of time. We can hold that statically, is what we call it. Just holding the stretch there to your pain tolerance. Or we could do that with what's called a PNF stretch, contract, relax. So you'll try to push your knee back up into that left hand and then relax and try to go a little bit further. So that's the psoas stretch. The next couple ones I have for you, I'm sure you've heard of this first one. It's just a regular plank. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold that for a period of time and progress from that. We can go, starting off, I would like to do 15 seconds, do a couple sets of 15 seconds, and then progress, 5 seconds further. Because a lot of hip problems can also stem, again, from your core muscles and being imbalanced. And so if your core muscle, your abs, things like that aren't strengthened properly, that can cause a lot of hip and low back issues. So, and the progression we can do is we can start at the knees and then work our way from the knees, holding up to the feet. So, show this real quick. So as I stated, we're gonna knees, elbows, and we're gonna really hone in right here on these ab muscles, keeping our belly up off the ground. And the next one we're gonna do is what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. Now this one is pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna try and pull the hip back in a posterior fashion, but really the key to this is flattening your low back into the ground. So you'll keep your feet up, legs up. As you can see, I can fit my hand underneath the small of my back. What I want to do is I want to flatten that, which posteriorly rotates the hip, pushes it backwards. And so we're going to do that for sets and reps, and we're going to do that a couple times. And that's actually going to help with a lot of stiffness that you've been experiencing with sitting up from a chair and things of that sort. So that's going to free up a little bit in the hips there. But yeah, so I really think that we can help you out here, Mary. And so let's. I don't see anything as far as our exam results are concerned. I don't see anything. I don't see anything that concerns me as far as anything major. So I think you're in the right place. I think I've got a great plan for you, and I think that we can get this knocked out and get you on a track to pain-free lifestyle.